Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're all about the positive vibes here on the show, and I've got a very special guest with me today. She has worked for numerous companies like Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVW, as well as Women's Extreme Wrestling, WEW. I'm pleased to welcome the one, the only, Angel Orsini. Angel, welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm
Yes,
glad
of
to be
course.
here.
Yes.
I appreciate the opportunity to connect, tell my story, and connect with your audience.
Yes, I think we're in for a great conversation. So tell me about where you're from.
So I'm pretty much a Jersey girl, grew up in Jersey, and then I moved to Florida, kind of like right after I graduated high school, and just started trying to figure out who I am and what should I be doing with my life. And I ended up in Fort Lauderdale. Um, I lived in my car on the beach for a while. Everything I owned was loaded up in my car. I joined the gym and I had like 4 different part-time jobs and just hustled until I could save up money. And I would take a shower at the gym, and just go from job to job, and then started running a room out of home. That was an improvement. And then just went from there. I kind of found myself in martial arts, and then from martial arts got into pro wrestling. I Yeah, it's just kind of build one step upon the other, and I just love martial arts. Got my black belt in Taekwondo, started teaching. I love teaching people. And it really gives me like a solid purpose. And when I do things, I really care about doing them with purpose, because there's so many things that I could be doing, you know, um, things that make you money. But if you're always just chasing a dollar, I don't know. Sometimes I think it's hard to motivate yourself. You really have to have a passion for what you do, because when you're feeling like, you know, a little low, little tired, little low energy, the motivation's got to come from somewhere, right? To keep on keeping on.
Right.
So it comes from your passion and purpose.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so after I started teaching martial arts, I was also competing in martial arts on an amateur level, doing Olympic style taekwondo, continuous fighting like they do in the Olympics. And I became state champion, and I had the opportunity to either try out for the United States Olympic team for my weight class, welterweight, or I met Bart Vale and I got the opportunity to start training MMA. And I was like, listen, that UFC stuff is dope. I know it's the future. That's where I'm going. And that was my choice. And then I started fighting in Japan,
Wow.
MMA.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, so martial arts, I gotta say, like I grew up taking Taekwondo lessons and later karate lessons, and I got my black belt in Wado-Ryu karate. So I know the discipline and determination, the hard work that it takes to get to that level. And then once you learn it, it sticks with you. Like if you're in a bad situation, you run into something, it's
Yeah.
it
Well,
it
yeah. If you have a good teacher, they should drill it into you, and you develop the skills because they take their time to correct you and help you hone it in. And when I wasn't traveling for fighting, I was doing security. I was working under ex-sheriff Nick Navarro has his own security company, and I worked directly for him and his wife. And then they realized this is a really funny story. So I come into the office. I was kind of like the secretary type of security guard where I would take like really important documents and be like the messenger and go to court with them and get them notarized and things like that. But then whenever somebody didn't show up for work, I would kind of be a floater.
Mhm.
Well, one day I came in and I had like bruises all around here. It wasn't really bruises, it was mat burn from getting like my face rubbed in the mat. And so they saw it, and then when I ran my errand, I came back, they were like, "Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Navarro want to talk to you." And so I came into the office and they're like, "Listen, we don't know what your situation is, but we just want you to know that we support you. And if you need anything from us, we want you to know that you don't ever have to stay in a situation where it's not safe for you." And I was like, "What?
Mm.
What?" Like I had totally confused because I wasn't involved with anybody. I was living on my own. So then I was like, "Oh, what's this conversation about? Why do you think that I'm a like I get the feeling you think I'm being abused somehow?" And they're like, "Well, look at your bruise over here. Where what?" And I'm like, "Oh, this had a bruise? That's Matt Burn come from my jujitsu class, you know?" And I'm like, I'm getting ready for my fight in Louisiana. And they're like, "Your fight?" They're like, "What?" Then they found out that I know all this stuff and they're like, "Oh, well, I got a promotion, I became lieutenant, and I started I started training everybody self-defense when became guard." And then that's how I met the warlord.
Mm.
And then I would work with the warlord because he would request me to because in security when you're in a high risk situation, you want somebody that's going to have your back.
Mhm.
And a lot of times these guys are trying to flirt with these chicks that are, at the
Mhm.
club.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, someone's gonna hit him over the head with a bottle, and I hook the guy in a full Nelson. Just then I took him all the way down 3 flights of stairs in a full
Wow.
Nelson. And everybody was like, minds blown. So, but that's just another day for me. If you know what
Wow.
you're doing in jujitsu, in any kind of grappling art, you should be able to disarm somebody in less than 60 seconds. It shouldn't be all sloppy, rustling around, all that.
No, no.
You're not good. If that's what's happening, you're not, you need more training. You're maybe green belt, you're not a black belt.
Very fast motions. What was it about martial arts that you just it gravitated towards you? What was it about martial arts that you liked so much that you just really liked about it?
Um, it's something that you never are done. You're never once you feel like, "Oh, I got this," somebody's going to show you another way to do it.
Mm.
Like it's never done. There's not one way to do it. There's a precise way to do things and execute with excellence and precision. But you'll meet somebody along the way eventually that's going to blow your mind and show you another way to do it that they mastered it. And you're going to be like, you know, I couldn't have even. So that's what I love about it. You're never done. You're never the best. The This whole idea, and that's why I love pro wrestling because wow, I'm the best. I got 2 belts here. I'm the best. But the truth is, you're never the best because there's always somebody else that's going to blow your mind, show you another way to approach it, and then it's a new challenge
Mhm.
to then master that way. And so, I also study neurology, neuroplasticity. It's always been like since I was a little girl, since I was 4, I told my mom everybody's problem starts in their mind with their thoughts at
Wow.
4.
Hmm.
And that's why everybody in my family was like, this kid's 4 going on 40. She's like out of the world, out of this world, with this wise sayings. And but it's the truth. The more I study neuroscience and neuroplasticity, the more what I'm saying is true. We're all wired for 2 things: curiosity, and we have to be really careful because we're very gullible. So whatever we expose ourselves to, whatever that message is over and over and over, even if we logically, consciously say that's not true, on another level in our mind, we're accepting that as a fact when it's not the truth
Hmm.
and it's not a fact. So we have to be, we can harness this natural inquisitive nature that we have. And that's what martial arts does. That's why it's like this passion that never ends. It's never going to be complete. It's a puzzle I'm never going to be able to solve, but that's what I need to occupy myself with a good, healthy, positive thing. Of
Yeah.
all the things in the world that I could get sidetracked with and obsessed about, you know what? I'm glad it's martial arts.
Yeah, it seems like you're very passionate about it, and it's something that you still remember, still learn about. And it's like you said, just when you think you're done, in comes something new. So never stop learning. That's a very good mantra. I really like to hear that. Well, what made you decide to pursue pro wrestling? Was wrestling something you enjoyed watching growing up?
I mean, for a little while, yeah, I did. I enjoyed it, but I'm not really a person who watches a lot of TV. Like I'm as you might be able to tell, I have a lot of energy.
Yes, I
And
can definitely
and
definitely
so
tell.
so sitting still is really hard for me, and it was even harder for me when I was a little girl, and a teenager. So, you know, uh, sitting in front of the TV is just something that has a limited, it has an expiration time for me.
Yes, I
I
can
get
understand that.
fidgety. I don't want to, I got to go do something. I need,
ADD.
so I, I mean, I guess I don't have it like that. I can't focus to complete something. I'm a
Right.
little bit like I have to complete whatever my
Gotcha.
goal is, whatever I determine this is what I'm doing, I have to complete that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm
Gotcha.
I'm a little, I don't know what you call that.
The
But
attention
then when I'm done
span.
with that, I'm like, all right,
Yep.
next
Mhm.
thing.
Yep. Okay.
I like being really productive. So, when I was younger, I competed in gymnastics and track and field. So, watching TV a little while and then on to maybe learning some new kind of flip or doing in my grandparents' basement. I had a balance beam, I had a tumbling mat, I had roller skates, so I was doing something.
Yeah, I mean, seemed like you had a lot going on, which is good.
Yes, but I found pro wrestling, like, doing it was way more fun than watching it. I mean, totally love watching really good pro wrestling, and I'm, like,
Yeah.
always so amazed by how talented everybody is,
Mhm.
and, but doing it and the time that I get to be in the ring, I love it. It's like, this is my sacred space. I love being in the ring. And I really didn't think about doing pro wrestling until I went to Japan. And when I was at Queendom and I saw all the different um Japanese women's divisions competing on the show, I was just like, "Whoa, well, that's some wrestling." Like, it was amazing women's wrestling, and I was like, "I would be interested in doing that, definitely." And I met Reggie Bennett, she was wrestling on that card, and she was talking my ear off. She's like, "You need to do it, you need to do it," like, she wouldn't let up on me. So, when I came back, I started asking around. I found Sunshine Wrestling, and then they introduced me to Liz Chase, who was an original Moolah girl, trained by Leilani Kai, Judy Martin, Joyce Grable, and she was just she was a phenomenal woman. Actually, she wrestled alligators, like, legitimately wrestled alligators. I think she was the
Unbelievable.
first woman to ever do it on TV.
Goodness.
So, she was a very impressive woman that I was like, "Oh, this is somebody who could teach me." And while I was getting done with my last 6 weeks of wrestling, um, Joni Lee came and started training with her because it was recommended that she train with Liz. And so my last 6 weeks of training were with China, and I got to go to the, gym with her, work out. She just took me under her wing and just, like, taught me so much about, nutrition, working out, and I'll tell you, I was never the same again. I still, to this day, bring my food with me when I go on the road, when I go to work, when I have to go to the office, and I pack everything up in my meals, and I bring my meals with me for the day.
Wow. I spoke with Terry Runnels on the show not too long ago. Uh, we were talking about China, and she had just, by all accounts, she was just a sweetheart. Just enjoyed being around people, enjoyed spending time with her daughter when she was younger at shows. Just one of the kindest people you could be around. She definitely missed to this day. What a nice woman she was.
He was. She was really wonderful soul, and, yeah, she's missed. I think about her often. She really made an impact on me, and she was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was such a sweetheart. She used to, because we're talking, like, late '90s. We didn't really have cell phones yet, and, I did shortly after that, but we would, like, write to each other. Yeah. She sent me, like, little gifts and stuff, like, encouraging me, "Stay, keep going, Riptide." That was my name, my first name, when I started wrestling, so she always called me Riptide.
Aw. Wow. Just very, very sweet. That's very awesome to
Yeah.
hear that story. Okay, so you start your training. I mean, it's a different kind of physicality compared to martial arts. It's a little similar here and there, but I mean, I'd imagine because you've got this background that you've prepared yourself for this. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's nothing like wrestling, shoot wrestling for 60 minutes straight, you know? Like, doing pro wrestling, it wasn't the thing that was hard was timing and, falling right. So,
Mhm.
that's the most important thing. And when you're new, that is absolutely the most important thing, falling flat in one every time. Because if you fall wrong, then you can dislocate things and then that
Mhm.
becomes a reoccurring injury. Um, yeah, I would say it's a little different because running the ropes a little bit
Mhm.
more cardio, but I'll be honest, if you're throwing punches and kicks and then you got somebody trying to throw you and their body weight on top of you, I mean, really, there's nothing that's ever going to be that kind of workout.
Yeah, I mean, it's intense. It's very intense.
So, I mean, you can try running 5 miles, but that's never going to even be the same because that's using different muscle fibers,
Mhm.
right? That's endurance. That's a different kind of muscle fiber. When you're wrestling, you're totally all it's all stamina and yeah, it's a totally different anaerobic type of stamina that you get from shoot wrestling.
Were there any pieces of advice that you got from your trainers that you took away and you still live by those pieces of advice to this day?
I mean, I've been blessed to have a lot of trainers. So train with Liz, train with Joni. Joni was my first match. My second match was Luna Vachon. Luna was a very good friend of mine. She lived in the same neighborhood as I did down in Broward County. And so we were kind of neighbors. We would go for walks together whenever she was in town. And she always was full of great advice. She would always say things like, less is more. Uh, that was big. And shut up, listen more than you talk. You got 2 ears, one mouth, so listen twice as much as you talk. And and then when I was in ECW, boy, did I get a lot of advice from a lot of people. And New Jack and Raven and Lance Storm was there for a little time. He would always, before he went to WWE, he was there, and I would always hang on whatever he would say. Um, it's so many things. Jerry Lynn, oh my God, he's brilliant.
He's incredible.
Um, and then while I was on the road with ECW, I started training at Dusty's school in Kennesaw, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, and he was always full of amazing advice. He's just one of the greatest human beings. Tommy Dreamer, he's another one, another amazing human being. Um, I can't say how awesome and excellent they are enough to really do them justice, but
No.
they are some of my favorite human beings, really.
Yeah, I mean, Dusty was just not only a great wrestler, but a really great teacher, and he was really good about psychology and character work and storytelling. To see that the Rhodes family legacy is continuing, I think he'd be very proud.
Oh, definitely. I had a couple of conversations with him and where his sons are right now he'd be very happy,
Yes.
very proud. Absolutely, especially Cody.
Mhm.
He Cody is exactly where his dad wanted him to be.
Mhm. Well, speaking of ECW, how did that come about?
Persistence. When you want something, you have to be determined that you're going to go to any length to get to it within, your morals and your values of getting there. And so um I'm not a beauty queen type of girl. My signature in this business is that I'm tough as nails. And you're never ever going to outwork me. Never. And so that's what I did. I met Jason Knight and I I just clicked with him and he became a very dear friend of mine and gave me some really good advice. And he said, whenever we're around and whenever you can be around where we are, show up early and come work out and expect nothing, work really, really hard. And then, and so that's what I started. I mean, I started uh, vying for a job probably for like a year and a half before I got a job with them.
Oh, okay. Did you do any
Mhm.
like dark matches for the other companies what before ECW came along?
No. I think people were a little nervous because I was a shooter. And like, so now it's okay to be UFC and segue into being a pro wrestler. But when I was trying to do that, there was real trepidation to have somebody be a for real fighter and
Ah,
also be a pro
yeah.
wrestler. And then, of course, I had people who were very intimidated by me and didn't want me to be there. So, that's the unfortunate side of this business is that it's competitive and people will talk smack on you and they will it's unfortunate that promoters don't be like, "Oh, but this person's afraid of this person and,
Mm,
that's why they're saying what they're saying." But I think social media was non-existent then, so you couldn't really get a real feel for
mhm,
who somebody was. You had to be, kind of like somebody had to speak for you and vouch for you to get a spot. And if you had somebody who was already had a spot there and they were like, "No, not that girl," for whatever nonsense malarkey they would say, um, people would believe it and you wouldn't get even a chance. So it's really, really hard actually to, especially since you also at this time don't really have women who are getting a job because they're a really good wrestler. Women are getting hired because they're the girlfriend or the wife of so and so. And this will make him happy because his wife or his girlfriend's gonna be on the road with him. And since he's our heavyweight champion or TV champion, let's make him happy. And then so there's only so many of those spots. And those girls aren't real wrestlers. They're bra and panty match girls. So if you're gonna hire them and put them on the payroll, then all you're gonna have is just a bunch of bra and panty matches. You're never gonna bring a girl like me in because then I'm gonna have to wrestle the small dudes because those girls are afraid of me and they're not gonna they're not gonna be able to wrestle me at the level. They can't keep up with me. I've had girls literally have gotten to a show on an indie show and I've gotten in the ring and working with them and they're like, "I can't keep up with you.
hmm.
You shouldn't be." So now at where we're at in wrestling now for the way that women have it now, every girl can wrestle at that caliber. Right? And you would bring dishonor to the locker room if you couldn't wrestle at that level. But back then, they did not respect the women and they did not care. They really didn't. They were like, "Oh, look, she can do this and that. Don't do." So I got to let her beat me and she can't even do a headlock right. She can't even transition her feet to the right posting position. But she's going to win this match. Yeah, it was a mess.
Well, there's definitely a market now for women's wrestling, and I think you've got an influx of new fans that are really interested in the work that the women of today are doing and the women of the past are doing as well. If you go back and watch the old uh, WWE or ECW, WCW footage back in the day, I mean, there's just a plethora of content out. It's insane. It really is. For you though, who are some of your favorite opponents to be in the ring with?
Mercedes Martinez, um, Mickey James, Jazz. I wrestled Jazz so many times. It's
Oh,
great.
really?
She,
Yeah.
yeah. And Luna. I wrestled Luna a lot of times. It was funny because the last time I wrestled her, I was the heel. I'll like cry if I think about it too much, but it came like full circle. She was such a sister to me.
Mhm.
And she was so iconic. Really, she was like a pace setter, a trendsetter in a way where she made it okay to not be, a Playboy centerfold and have a space in pro wrestling, and that's really, really important. And yes, there were women at this time. You have Wendy Richter, Leilani Kai, Judy and Joyce, um uh, and Mula May, that really pioneered. um but there was a time where something happened in women's wrestling, and then they stopped that. It was crummy for a little while. Everybody was a valet or a manager, and that's all you had were all those kinds of. And listen, I'm not that has a really important place in wrestling,
Absolutely, yes.
managers and valets. But I would not say, like, I had to learn how to be a manager when I went to ECW, because I was a wrestler all these years, and I had to relearn and learn how to really do that, because that was my job, and so that's the job I got hired to do. So that's what I did. Um but I would never, some people will are a manager or a valet and they'll say they're a wrestler. And they really shouldn't say that, because they're kind of disrespecting wrestlers when they do that, because wrestling and what wrestlers do, they are so amazingly talented. I know the really, really good ones make it look easy. It is so incredibly hard. There are so many women right now that are so incredible. I'm trying to think of like all their names. Bailey and um the EST girl. What's her first?
Bianca Belair.
Yes, she's phenomenal,
She's
really talented athlete. And
amazing to
I
watch.
love the Empress of Tomorrow.
Asuka,
Asuka,
Asuka.
she is so amazing. They are so amazingly talented. And their character, I've wrestled Zelina many times.
Mhm.
I helped her when she was just getting started, and I knew she was going to make it. There's so many women. When I Miss April, you know,
April Hunter.
AJ Lee.
Oh, AJ
Yeah.
Lee. AJ Lee.
Yes. Yes. I knew she was gonna make it, because they have it. Serena Deeb. I think I was Serena's first ever match. A lot of these women, I was their first or second or third, match ever. Mia Yim
Mhm.
is another one. Yeah, they are so incredible. Cena. Yes. Very, very a whole nother caliber. When they came in, it was like, this is the new level of women's wrestling. And I was like, yay, this is great. This is what we need. Because now that they have the platform and they have the recognition, they have to have the influx of the new talent coming in and maintaining that, so they can continue to keep those spots on those shows and keep it going.
Yeah.
And yeah, because listen, there are mothers, daughters, sisters, aunties, nieces out there. They need strong role models.
Mhm.
Life is so hard that women can live vicariously through these outstanding female athletes, and get inspiration to face their challenges. And that, I will tell you, when I go out to shows and in intermission and I talk to fans, when women come up to me and tell me, I saw you and da 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 when you were in WSU or WEW, and you made me believe that I could overcome cancer, or this, you know, whatever it was. And I'm just like, oh, like,
It's heartwarming.
It is makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
It really does. Every fall, every ow, every, bruise, every broken bone, that's where it's at.
Let's switch gears and talk about some of the charity work that you've done outside of wrestling. What organizations have you partnered up with over the years?
Well, really, I don't I've Rescue Bus is the only like organization that I've ever done work for, going and giving clothing and feeding homeless people. They go in these um like mobile um RVs, that's
Yeah.
it. It's like a RV that's set up like with a kitchen in it and they just pop the tent. They feed people, they go with the RV, they have a bunch of food, they set up a kitchen and they distribute as well as coats, socks, whatever donation stuff they have to help people. If it's in the summertime, or the wintertime, it's hats, gloves, coats in the winter. And then, summer, it's going to be like kits for like washing, deodorant,
Mhm.
toothpaste, toothbrush, things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
that's
really, it's really great organization.
okay. Yeah, I mean, because not a lot of people can afford that kind of stuff, and they're going to need stuff to, for hygiene and food to eat and anything possible that's going to get them through their day. So that's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they do like Newark, New Jersey, New York City. Um, I'm sure there are other places, but those are the places that I've gone to. And then I've done my own work with rescue dogs
Oh,
and
okay.
gone down to Texas, loaded up a van load full of dogs and brought them up to Jersey and rehomed them. It's a big problem for the
Yeah.
southern states and for seems like Riverside and LA also have a really high rate of killing poor shelter dogs and cats. It's terrible that people would get a puppy and then when that poor creature who did not ask to be bought gets too big and they decide, oh, okay,
That's just
and then they just dump it at a kill shelter. That I'm gonna say those are horrible people. You're a bad person when you do that. You get a pet, you have made a commitment for that animal's life. If you can't make that commitment, then you don't get that animal. Animals are living beings. They're not a set of plates that you put on display or some dolls in a case. They are living creatures and you need to care for them for their whole life. If you cannot, then you do not make that purchase. And by the way, I will also add you don't gift people animals. That's something that's inappropriate. And I don't mean to hurt people's feelings, but I feel like, you know what? I'm a teacher, I'm a black belt. If nobody else has told you at this point in time in your life, I'm telling you. Okay? This is inappropriate. People will make that decision for themselves and for their own life. That's not a gift you give to somebody for Valentine's Day or Christmas or something like that. Unless that is like your spouse and you've discussed that, you don't do that for somebody that's like your sister, your niece, your cousin or something like that. No.
it's a responsibility. It's a big responsibility and it's a huge responsibility. It's important that if you're gonna commit to that, it's on you to make sure that that pet gets food, water, and just gets walked around and is healthy.
and get their vaccines,
Hmm.
you know.
Why do you feel passionate about helping out in your community?
Oh, because I mean, community is America. That's what America is. It's a conglomerate of different communities. So although culturally I'm here in New Jersey, we don't think the same way about some things as they do in Texas or California, but overall, we're all American, and I support them and s- support the idea of community in general. That's what our whole country is, these strung together communities. So I think what's really missing right now is what we have in common, where everybody is so focused on the things that we do that are different. But really, the overall message is, you know what? I care about my neighbors. I care about the people that live in this county. I care about the people that live in my state. And I care about everybody that lives in our country. I want everybody to be put in the position for them to succeed. And I think somehow while we're experiencing our cultures, in our various little communities, and focusing on how this community is this way and that community is this other way,
Mhm.
really we have to focus in on the things that are really where we're all similar. We care about each other. I want people in Texas, I want people in California, I want people in every single state in this country to succeed. I want them to have leadership where they are that puts them in the best possible position to succeed and have victory over their challenges, right? And I think that we're losing sight of that because we're fighting so much about how to do it or the way to do that. And we're not focusing on the point that I'm not your enemy. You're not my enemy. We want the same things. We all want America to have peace. We don't want war here. We want everybody to live at peace with each other. And we have to protect that. And we all have to recognize that just because maybe you're pro choice and somebody isn't, don't lose sight of the fact that we're still living in this country right next to each other in the same neighborhoods, a couple blocks over. And, our kids go to the same school, we go get our cars washed at the same car wash. We go grocery shopping at the same place. We want everybody to be safe and have opportunities. And sometimes opportunities are not equally distributed. The way that we bridge the gap is by listening to each other a little bit more, and then we can hear the message. Because sometimes there's interference in hearing the message clearly. We have these other background noises going on where we focus too much on, maybe that I have blonde hair and I'm white and I live in New Jersey. And so, don't let that disrupt the message that I'm sending.
Right, right.
The struggle's been real for me too.
Hmm.
Don't make any assumptions. Take what I'm saying at face value and really hear me. And then I'm really going to hear you. And I'm going to tune into your message because I care and I want to know.
Yeah, that's very well said. I agree with wholeheartedly with everything that you said. I think that we're all one. we're all united. And that's how we should be, you know. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
If we're not, and look at where we're at right now. We're so polarized. There's such this division, and that is basically stalling everything from getting achieved.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully one day it'll change and we'll all be on the same playing field, and we'll try to we'll learn how to get along again, and relearn to agree to disagree when it calls for it, and to hear each other out.
I mean, yeah, I think creating a safe space, that's what I'm trying to do for people to have the discourse, to have the conversation, and it doesn't turn into people beating each other up. Like wrestling is wrestling, and that's a different,
Mm-hmm.
that's entertainment.
Yeah.
But in real life, we should not go to the grocery store and think, all right, let's go.
Yeah. No.
Pinfalls count anywhere in any aisle. No, they do not. That's not the way it's going to go down. That doesn't solve anything. You don't need to go to the Board of Ed meeting and think, okay, I'm going to make you tap out with a Kurt Angle, ankle lock.
No.
No. Why don't you try listening to what everybody has to say? Because really, what we're supposed to do is listen to each other and say, I didn't think of that before. They make a good point. Hmm, maybe my solution is tailored to my situation, but maybe that wouldn't work for everybody. And when we listen to each other, we can come up with better ideas, better solutions that work for more people because, we're 350 million people.
Exactly.
We need to
Yeah.
think outside the box for everybody to
Yeah.
include everybody. That's
Right.
how unity works, harmony works.
Exactly. And hopefully one day we can get to that point. You just got to keep the faith and got to keep going, be the change that you wish to see, and just be kind.
Right. Do you know that kindness is like the highest form of intelligence?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
well, good, good, good.
Yes.
I mean, that's the way to approach it. And why do I care? Because in training in martial arts, when you're a black belt, you're a leader. It doesn't matter in what area of the community, but that's what it is. That's what our training dictates, is
Mm-hmm.
that once you get to that level, you are now responsible to be a leader in your community to help as many people thrive, succeed. You coach people, you help them, and you want to see everybody in the community thrive, not survive, thrive, right?
Exactly. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Angel, this has been wonderful getting the chance to talk with you. And I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find more about you on social media or get in contact with you?
Oh, yes, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Um, so my website is angelorsini.net, and on social media, I am the Angel Orsini on everything. Instagram, X, and Facebook.
Well, thank you again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
I will. Thanks so
Yes.
much.
Awesome. Have a wonderful night.
You too, and good luck with everything. I wish you the very best in your walk, in your journey. You know, this has been so much fun for me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'll talk to you soon. This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.